In November, Pakistan's outgoing Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa admitted the military had unlawfully meddled in Pakistan's politics for decades. Political analysts have long speculated on the army's involvement in Pakistan's politics, so these statements were controversial.
They were indeed controversial, Jill. I mean, the admission was without precedent as well. In an exclusive interview with CNA, I asked the foreign minister if he believed the influence of the army on political decision-making should end. And this is what he said.
So as far as General Bajwa's statement is concerned, I think it's a vindication. It's a vindication of my party stance. It's a vindication of my stance. The first day when I stood up, when Mr. Khan was elected Prime Minister, and I spoke in the National Assembly and I said that this is not a Prime Minister-elect, this is a Prime Minister-select. And we've all been borne witness to the heavily manipulated elections of 2018. We saw since how Mr. Khan undermined democratic institutions, illegitimately used other institutions to achieve his ends. And I believe it undermined those institutions as well as our democratic institutions. So I think it's a significant achievement for Pakistan's outgoing army chief not only to admit this, but the bigger achievement is that they've said that as of February, we've decided to step back. We will not interfere in the political process, and that's exactly the direction that we want to see Pakistan progress on.
Well, since his removal from office through a vote of no confidence in April this year, Imran Khan has emerged as one of the biggest critics of the Pakistan army. He said at the time that his removal as Prime Minister was part of a, quote, conspiracy in which the United States was also involved. And in our interview, Mr. Bhutto was critical of Mr. Khan's, implying that military influence in his ouster. Here's what he had to say.
What is our opposition saying? Our opposition has not been campaigning for the military to step back from politics. Our opposition has been protesting that the military didn't unconstitutionally intervene and stop us from bringing the vote of no confidence. I think that is ridiculous. It undermines all those who've sacrificed so much for democracy in Pakistan. And if Khan wants to be a politician, play the Democrat, he better start acting like one.
Well, political instability has weighed heavily on Pakistan's economy as well. Business confidence in the country has taken a nosedive during the last 6 months of unrest.
That's right, Dawn. Now, Pakistan is at a critical juncture in terms of its economy. The country has a history of borrowing commitments with the IMF. They've been on the receiving end of at least 23 loans, the most recent one being a $7 billion loan program.
And Mr. Bhutto said that the situation had improved a lot after the government took some very difficult decisions and revived the IMF program. But he also sounded off on the former Prime Minister's behaviour again, this time in exacerbating the country's financial woes. Take a listen.
The challenges that we're facing right now. Number one, when we came into power, it was not our deal with the IMF. It was Mr. Khan's deal with the IMF. When he saw that he was going to lose his vote of no confidence, he unilaterally not only left that deal, but literally set alight our economy on his way out with unfunded subsidies that pushed Pakistan for the first time in our history to the brink of default. And through the first 6 months of this government, Mr. Sharif and his financial team took incredibly difficult economic decisions in the face of all this political backlash and pressure, because we're committed to serious economic reform. We want to deliver for the people of Pakistan. He took those decisions, re-engaged with the IMF. Unfortunately, just as that money was coming through, we had this climate catastrophe, which resulted in a third of the landmass of the country underwater. 33 million people affected. Loss and damage of more than $30 billion. It's like 10% of our GDP. So obviously, right now, we are in a difficult economic situation. I'm confident that the Prime Minister and his finance team, in addition to the support of all his allies, will be able to pull us out of these acutely difficult economic times.